In this fraternity, there are two people I have known for a long time. Sunil is one of them because he started in advertising, and he's truly, as we say in advertising, hot shots of advertising. He achieved stardom in advertising very early. He became possibly the youngest, national creative director. I may get the designation wrong of Ogilvy, but basically the creative head of Ogilvy at a very, very young. And then he branched out. He became an entrepreneur. He started an agency called A, as in movies. You see the letter A. And then he sold that agency to another venerable agency in the world called Wyden and Kennedy. He became Wyden Kennedy India. For those of you, how many of you traveled by Indigo? Right? All the branding, the packaging has been done by Sunil. I mean, his agency did it, but he's personally. The new stretch campaign is done, his idea. So he's, and I remember the launch of his A office. I think Aisha would have also gone, me, right? And it was an art gallery in his office. So he's somebody who truly understands, and art has no boundaries. Sunil is a very good example of somebody who comes from advertising, who understands communication, and then appreciated art, and really, he's an art aficionado, he's an art collector, and he has deep roots in art. So, Sunil, you just visited the India Art Fair.
Yeah.
What are your impressions? It started 16 years back. How's it doing?
Yeah, I think, they've also had their up and downs, but from last year I felt it feels like it's come of age now. A lot of the international galleries have come back. The market is really booming. Earlier market was very small. Even now, I think in Indian art market is pretty small when you compare to the rest of the world. But what art fair does is that in a city like Delhi, art is really celebrated, not just at the fairground, around the city. People have opened up homes and offices so that and celebrating art. Artists have welcomed people's homes and everyone, whether it is big industrialists collecting artworks or government organizations, everyone is working together. So art has become a very exciting part, which never used to be. Art was like that very highbrow. When we were growing up, if you go to some of the art spaces, it is controlled by the intellectuals who look down upon people who didn't understand or didn't speak that language. At the same time, when you went to places like Lilith Kala or one of the government spaces, it's not very exciting for young people. So it was always those intellectual class and kind of boring for most people. So I guess all of us are part of the new sort of breed of people who are trying to do something in arts. So when I see art fair sort of become that kind of beacon of excitement from art perspective, is very interesting.
You can give Sunil a big round of applause, which you should have given when he came. Clapping is good for heart muscles, so do it for yourself. If you didn't do your yoga today morning, I won't charge you for yoga at all. Mr. Bhardwaj is here. He's a very respected person in the arts fraternity. Sunil, so you're saying truly democratization of art has happened?
Yeah.
But when we talk of masters, art is not in the reach of masses. The pricing of masters is such.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. But that's what the market has created, right? But I'm talking about purely earlier. What happened was that, especially in India, because we don't have the culture of, let's say, going to museums and galleries regularly. We go when we're in school. We go to science club. We participate in sports, and we do a bit of arts. The moment you leave school, sports go away, science go away, and art definitely goes away, right?
Sure.
So let's say someone like you become a big daddy. Normally if you are in Europe, you will be like, I want to invest in art. I will support like a football stadium, or I will support like a museum, right? We don't have the culture yet.
Not yet.
Right? And that has to change. So that market decides pricing, but the art has to be very exciting. A lot of the people, when you go to London, they say, oh my God, I have to go to Tate Modern. Why is that? Great quality work, there is an excitement about art. Here, because of the intellectual class, this is my theory, the intellectual class, one, didn't let you enter that space. It's always that kind of highbrow talk. And the space where the art is shown was not very exciting, right? So when you see like Kochi-Biennale, it's an exciting place. Art fair is an exciting place. And then because of the art fair in Delhi, amount of collectors and there's an excitement about contemporary art, right? Which never used to be the case. It was like in the control of very few people. And this supposed to be intellectual class, right? So, Shalini is here. She's one of the few people who making this whole art as an industry very exciting, right? If it's not exciting, young people will not participating in art. Then it's like you become older, then, more richer, then you are like, have a confidence to even walk into an art gallery. That was not the case earlier. It's changing a lot thanks to art fair, thanks to Kochi-Biennale, thanks to Jaipur Lit Festival. Literature, look at that. Before literature festival, it was not a fun thing, right? Literature was it was left to few intellectuals. Now when you go to Jaipur, it's the most exciting party, exciting. So I think party is very critical also.
I know you for a long time, so I know
Party
that
makes
was
it,
coming.
Party makes it exciting. Everything has to be like
Which
a party.
one? Which one? Aam Aadmi, Congress, BJP?
All three.
Okay. But coming back to art,
Yeah.
but some people say Kejriwal is a piece of art, but that's for another day, another discussion. But coming back to the business of art and art, of course, Ms. Pasi there, in every domain needs icons.
Yeah.
Cricketing, people want to be like somebody.
Yeah.
In advertising, in art, I think you need role models and people who've done it. And I remember I was buying art of my first piece of art. I called and I went to Aisha's first exhibition and I said, it was somewhere close by, right? And I said, in 3 days, I wanted to buy it. I didn't buy it in 3 ways. It was gone for 2.5 times or 3 times the money, and I said, wow. So beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. That's the saying. But what do you think still needs to change about the art scene? You talked about all the positive developments, that art is getting democratized, art is reaching out to masses. You talked about how there is street art, how these event initiatives, whether it's the Kochi Biennale, the India Art Fair, or others, and ours is in the first year, I'm sure it'll grow like other initiatives. What is still not changed that needs to change?
I think we need to have one better quality art schools, art institutions. We don't have, let's say in the UK there is like Arts Council, which controls the entire art ecosystem in UK. Like France has it, US has it, everyone has that thing, right? Where government gets behind it, there's a lot of investment goes in. And then if you see the creative economy, it is massive. It has its own life. It's in trillions of dollars, right? Here, I think we need to start with the great art schools. That means art education needs to be much more exciting, aesthetically better. Right now, our craft is getting better and better, but aesthetically, I don't know, right? And then we need better quality museums, better quality art institutions. So that whole ecosystem needs to be built. Right now, it's all left to private sector to build it. Look at art fair, private sector, Kochi-Biennale, like again, like a art community decided to do it. Of course, government supports, but driven by private sector. Like Kiran Nadar Museum, private sector, right? Government and the private sector needs to now work together to kind of really push forward. But the base thing, I think education needs to change. Art education need to change.
Thank you, Sunil. One of the things is if arts has to become a career option, which it is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a passion.
Yeah.
It's a blessing from God.
Yeah.
Right? But it's also a career option.
Yeah,
Somebody has to pay for the livelihood. But for younger artists, would it be fair to say that they're able to find markets and buyers easier than they ever used to?
Yeah, much
Because
better.
Sanat said in the morning that, an artist sitting in a semi-urban city is still not able to break into the galleries of Delhi, so to say.
I mean, that's, see now that it's like in everything else, right? You can look at film industry. You just don't know who will suddenly make it big. Not the expected. So now that there's no rule.
There's a
right?
Karthik Aryan,
there's
a Vicky Kaushal.
Exactly. So many people, right? Now with the market is really changing. So if you, of course, luck plays a big role, but if you have the talent, you can't be stopped, right? It will have to
So you're saying
pop up.
it's on its way?
It's on the way, and then more and more, compared to earlier days, now things have opened up much more. Now if the artist is good, there are so many platforms. Every corner of the country now there are galleries opening up, then better quality work is going on. So I think opportunity is opening up more and more.
So you come from the business of advertising, communication. The word immersive is used everywhere.
Yeah.
Digital art is gaining traction. With the rise of crypto again
Yeah.
and blockchain, do you see we'll see a re-emergence of digital art in a big way, especially from a asset class standpoint?
Yeah, definitely. It's already happening. And you know that earlier, I mean, if you grew up in advertising or film studios, digital art was like part of the thing, right? Every studio has a digital artist who did created images and cut and paste things. So I think now that thing was never treated like a piece of art. That thing is also changing. So I think the art market is generally becoming a very exciting place. So whether it is digital or physical, whatever it is, it's all medium, right? In the end, we are in the business of taste making and aesthetics and creation, right? So it doesn't matter what the medium it is. At least that's how I believe.
If you had to peg it three trends that you see becoming mainstream, which are small, which are kind of under the carpet right now, but
Yeah.
you foresee them becoming big, what would those be?
I think one definitely in India, the craft, which is sort of dying out, it's having a moment now. People are doing better quality craft, and therefore you see like a lot of even the art fair, you see a lot of the work based on textile, fabrics, embroidery, all that's having a moment, and better quality, better aesthetics. It's not anymore treated like just a craft thing. Earlier, craft was sort of shoved on the side.
Beautiful.
It is having a moment. I think that's definitely one. And the whole digital space, I think everyone should take seriously. And AI, you can reject it, but it's a biggest thing since internet, even bigger than internet actually. So that's going to be a big thing.
So how will AI, or how is already AI changing or morphing the arts business? What
Yeah.
is the impact of AI? Give us some example.
I think AI. If you really take it in the right spirit, we sh- we. I mean, there's a lot of negative around AI. Anything can be done, right? You can create people like us. You don't know whether it is you talking or me talking.
Sure, of
But at the
course.
same time, what the things like AI or a new technology does is that they put pressure on you to think original ideas. That AI can't. So the pressure that's a great pressure, right? And if you look at it positively, like I'm like, AI is great because oftentimes you don't have to go through the pain of dealing with a lot of people, but you have to have original idea. Otherwise, it'll all look the same.
Beautiful. Yeah, because AI is based on past, it is based on large language models,
Exactly.
and now small language models,
Yeah.
which look at what has been done in the past to be able to serve you what you
Yeah.
need to get now. So clearly the value for creating original work
Yeah.
in every domain,
Yeah.
original ideas and new ideas or new ways of doing things will never go out of fashion.
Exactly.
That is for sure. In fact, all the more like we live in a digital world, but the value of human touch, face to face, is even more. You visited the art fair, you're there physically. We've not done it on Zoom.
Yeah.
So the value of creativity or original work is even more in the world of AI, I would
Exactly.
say.
Exactly.
There's a premium on that. My last question to you before I bring in the audience. Sunil, what are you doing personally in this domain? I know the word multifaceted was is apt for you because, as I said, you started in advertising, then you became an entrepreneur, then you went into arts. What are you doing to be able to advance the cause of art and artists in the art business in India?
I think, see, a lot of the work I do is most, especially in the art space, it's all in the back end, right? Whether it is Kochi or the work we're doing, Jodhpur, everything, we are trying to create a space for everyone to come and sort of participate. So we want to make that bigger and bigger. And then personally for me, that's a excitement also because we're always working with better quality people and that helps our business. So, I mean, everything I do, it's all, I feel interconnected. It feels like one thing, but it's there are maybe 10 things, but in my head, it's like one thing. But it's all interconnected, and then for me, is that pressure, always working with better quality people, so that your brain is, always trying to be better. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yes. And I didn't want to ask you this. I said it's last. But I ask you 3 new artists that are worth mentioning. I'm sure there are more than 3.
No.
It's like I have 2 children. You ask me who's better. It's a difficult question to ask.
Yeah.
But 3 artists that you remember you saw in the India Art Fair or over the last few months that you've discovered. You can say 4, 5.
Yeah. I think names better to avoid.
Why are you
No,
being
no,
so
it's
safe? You're not safe.
No, it's not safe. It's just because we are so deep into it. You don't want to miss out some name because.
That's okay, but you
No, no,
still
no,
bring
I'm
out
not.
something.
No.
Sunil, you're being very safe, which is not you.
No.
But that's okay.
They're all my friends.
Aisha, you want to ask Sunil a question? Anyone who has a question for Sunil? Ratanji?
No, thanks.
Ruhail? Jyotsna? Yes, Jyotsna. Can you get her a mic? She's not a loud Punjabi from Delhi. She's Miss Sharma. She needs a mic. You can take mine. You have to be faster.
Okay, I have a very basic question, but what does good design mean? What is it to you? What is the definition of good design?
Definition of what?
Good design.
See, the good design at a surface level, it has to be aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
And for me, the good design has to be very strong, and then it has to be practical, right? It
Functional.
Functional, practical, all that. But the most important thing is aesthetically, it has to
Pleasing.
be fantastic, right?
Okay.
Because that's the first thing you see. And then rest is all whether it is functional, whether it is strong, whatever that thing is. So that's why I keep talking about our art schools.
Yeah.
It needs to kind of teach better quality aesthetics to our children, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, our streets are going to continue to look like this, right?
Yeah.
Our airports are continue to look like this.
Yeah.
Typically you see there's a flyover built,
Yeah.
which looks great when it is just concrete,
Yeah.
done by an engineer, aesthetically beautiful.
Yeah.
And then comes people like us putting some colors and signages, graphic design. Whole thing looks like a bloody mess. Look at airports.
Yeah.
Look at aeroplanes. When it comes out of the factory, in just pure metal, it looks beautiful, and then comes all the funny things on it.
Yeah.
So that aesthetics, I think, it's very critical, right? For it, so that our cities look better,
Yeah.
our surroundings look better, and we operate in a much better space, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
And if I may answer, I'm not an artist, not a creative person, but art, design is a differentiator, first of all. Design creates value. Best example is you pay much more for an iPhone.
Yeah.
Now it may be more aspirational, but it started as a design thing, right? And the last thing I would say is you can see design adds an experience. He's talking of aesthetically elevating it.
Yes.
So at the end, better design, and better is again very individual, it creates a better experience.
Yeah.
So design creates experience.
Yeah.
Experience creates value. Value creates, business, or just the pleasure of, absorbing the value of enjoying an art.
And it's real value, right? If you see, there's actually a McKinsey report which came out last year. The corporations or even the government, wherever they've applied design thinking,
Yeah.
there is a very clearly defined value, financial value, not just a perceived value. It runs in trillions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So it's real. It's not a
Whether
thing
it's
anymore.
cities. By the way, Jyotsna, there is another research, and I'm not making it up. You can all cities that patronize art
Yeah.
and become synonymous with art. The real estate appreciation in those cities is much higher than cities that don't.
That
So
is
that's also a reality. It's numbers. And just to build on what he said about design, clearly the hottest buzzword in marketing, in communication, in digital, and everything has to be digital, is CX,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That
which
is
is
true.
which is essentially design interface.
Yeah.
So I think there is a clear value. I mean, if you look at Spotify, it's beautiful. Anything that your mind can think of, they've thought of. They've thought of the interface. They've thought of the steps. I mean, we may accept it as something normal, but I'm sure it's an iterative process that has taken a while.
I mean, now we are talking about cities, right? Look at Barcelona, one of the best designed cities to work for the circular economy, right? look at airports. Very few airports you see like, my God, you don't even realize it's beautifully designed. You go through it so smoothly, right? Like a Delhi airport, forget the carpets, but it's one of the smoothest airport to go in and out. 25
Absolutely.
minutes in
Functioning
and out.
out.
But it's a horrible looking airport, but it's a functionally beautiful airport actually. You know? So, you know what I mean? So if it was like better designed, can you imagine it would be like one of the best airports in the world. Because functionally they sorted it out, right?
Only thing, Sunil, I'd say is if you look at the Kuala Lumpur airport, it was built, I think, 25 years back.
Yeah.
And they built it for the next 100 years. In India, we build things for the next 10 years,
Yeah.
maybe 15 years. I think with the current government, at least they're thinking 10, 20, 30 years ahead. Whatever you build, you have to build because with the number of people we have, I think we have to be very
Absolutely.
long term. That's the only thing. But I think Indians are thinking on scale in every aspect. So airports will also naturally follow. Any other question for Sunil, or I can wrap it up? Thank you so much.
you.
Please give Mr. V. Sunil a big round of applause. The latest Indigo campaign on Stretch, he called it Business World and not Stretch. He didn't call it business class. So it's the business. It's a stretch, and you know I have experienced it. It's outstanding. My favorite airline is Indigo. There is no question about that. So please give Sunil a big round of applause.